everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be doing a get to know me professionally video. So last year a friend of mine recommended that I do a video talking about my career journey. However, 2020 was a special year and I just did not get the chance to do it. So happy new year and stay tuned. I'm going to start off by introducing myself because I've never done a YouTube introduction before. So my name is Candice Petgrave. I am from the beautiful island of Jamaica, Kingston to be exact. I am the youngest of 3 girls. I enjoy talking. That is actually something that, I really do enjoy talking. I just love hanging out with my friends and my family. I love listening to music. I love to dance. I love to partake in voluntary activities. And I just enjoy meeting and interacting with persons from all walks of life. So ever since I was a little girl, I knew I wanted to be in hospitality. However, my dream job at that time was to be a flight attendant. As I said, I'm from Jamaica, so for me, there was nothing more beautiful than an Air Jamaica flight attendant. I mean, their makeup was just flawless, the scarves. I was just like, that is going to be me in the future. However, I remember persons were telling me, oh, you have to can't swim. Yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed that I live on an island and I cannot swim. They told me I would have to learn to speak. I would have to be able to be fluent in Spanish. And also, I think the biggest one was just that fear of dying. You know, just like it's a dangerous job. And so I think that was the thing that kind of scared me when someone was telling me, oh, you're probably gonna have to jump out of the plane. And I'm like, I don't want to be going to work every day and feeling like there's a chance I'm going to be jumping out of a plane. As I said, that was when I was young, but I think that conversation has kind of still scarred me because I'm low-key afraid of flying. So I think when I was around 9 years old, my aunt in Cayman, my sister and I went to spend time with her for the summer, and she was a resident manager for a property. And because she was a resident manager, she lived on property. Now, this was my first time staying at a hotel. I've been to hotels before, but more for functions, you know, for a birthday party, for a church function, but not to stay over. So being in this foreign country, staying in a hotel, it was just like a dream come true. For me, it was like a different, right? I was just like, what is this? You know, and the place was really nice. And so I just fell in love with the atmosphere. You know, the beach was right there. It had a pool. The workers, they just looked happy. I remember even interacting with the housekeeper. And I mean, like, she was smiling while doing her job. And I was just like, this is life. Like, I believe, like, when you're working, you're supposed to be happy. And so even just looking at my aunt when she was doing her job, I was just like, I want to be my aunt when I grow up. I want to be a resident manager. I want to run a property. And so ever since then, I was really gearing myself to work in hotels. And so that was pretty much how my interest in hotels really started out. I'm going to take it back a little bit to even high school. So I went to the Queen's School, big up. So in 3rd form, that is actually when you will select your subjects that will be aligning with your career path. But my high school, we had like 6 compulsory subjects, which I think looking back, it wasn't a bad decision for them to do that because it allows for us to be all-rounded. And there are many students who, to be honest, you don't know what you want to be in 3rd form. You think you know what you want to be, but you're just not sure. And so by doing a mixture of subjects, it kind of allows you to see what works best for you. So I remember the 2 subjects that I believe assisted me in introducing me to the industry would have been food and nutrition. Obviously, you're having some practical elements of cooking and social studies. I know that now tourism is a subject in 6th form. You do it for Cape. And I'm just like, why wasn't that available when I was in school? That would have been so cool. But I'm happy to know that, you know, the curriculum, they're advancing it and more things are being introduced to enhance the educational system. Alright, so let's talk about university life. So I am a graduate of the University of the West Indies, but prior to even starting university, there were 3 schools that were on my list. So it was UE, University of Technology, UTech, and Monroe College in New York. So let me start off with Monroe. So usually in high school, you would have a lot of these college fairs, and Monroe was probably one of the most popular colleges that you would find coming to these college fair. It would be between them and Florida International University. So I was always interested in those two. And so I had gotten accepted in Monroe College. However, they had given me a part scholarship, but I could not afford the rest. So I just did not even look at it. So it was now done between UE and UTech. So I remember I had to do an interview to get accepted into UTech. So I remember I had on my school uniform, went up to UTech one day, and I was in the interview with this lady. She was so sweet, and then she asked me, to tell me a little bit about yourself. And I was telling her about my hobbies, and then I said I can dance. I like to dance. And she said, you like to dance? And she said, get up and do a dance. And at that time, like, Gully Creepa was like the baddest song right now, and I remember.
Oh, I'm to the mice.
And she called crowd, and I Gully Creepa like everybody in the office, and it was so fun. It was such a fun day. But ultimately, I decided to go to UE for 3 reasons. 1, it was cheaper than UTech. 2, the duration would have been shorter, so I would be going to school for 3 years versus 4 years. And 3, which was the biggest selling point for me, was that in choosing University of the West Indies, I would be going to UE Mona, which is in Jamaica, for 1 year, but I would be doing the remaining 2 years in Bahamas. And I thought that the opportunity to live in a foreign country, that would have just been something that would be life-changing for me. I'm sure I would have been able to, learn so much more, which I did, and we'll get into that quite shortly. So yeah, that was really how the selection process for university came into place. Now, in terms of starting to attend university, the transition from high school to UE was horrible. Majority of the courses that you do in first year are not in any alignment with your major. So I did a lot of business subjects, and I am horrible when it comes to numbers. And also the classes were so big. So coming from a class with 40 students, and I went to a female all-girls school. So coming from a class with 40 at max when you were in 5th form, and then in 6th form that class decreases to like 20, and then now you're in a lecture theater with over 300 students. It was very overwhelming. If I didn't understand something, I would be playing hero and just nodding, or you might understand, but I really did not understand, and my grades were horrible. So I remember even after the first semester, when my grades came out, I failed 2 courses. And I remember my mom was so disappointed in me, and even when it came time for internship, instead of going on the coast to do internship, I had to stay in Kingston because I had to do summer school to resit those courses. But yes, I did not have a good transition from high school to university. Socially, it was fine. I met a lot of friends. I didn't really have that experience of really interacting with a lot of Caribbean nationals, even though it's a regional institution. And I mean, that's understandable because 1, I did not live on hall. I would go back and forth home to school, so I would commute. And I also did a major that you would not find a lot of students from other Caribbean countries. So my sister, she studied medicine, so it would have been easier for her to meet someone from another country, because most persons, if you're doing medicine, you come to Jamaica. If you're perhaps other majors, would allow for more interaction amongst Caribbean nationals. But socially, it was good. Academically, it was a learning lesson. But after that, I've never failed a course in my life. Won't he do it? So what was life like living in Bahamas? So living in Bahamas was an amazing experience for me. I lived there for 2 years. I lived in a building with persons from Barbados, Trinidad, St. Kitts, and it was just beautiful to learn about the various cultures, and I think most importantly to break down the stereotypes. I think that there are many times we have perceptions about people from a particular country. You don't even know someone from that country, you just go off hearsay. And I think the beauty of attending the Center of Hospitality and Tourism Management in Bahamas allowed me to interact with persons and to realize, listen, we are so much similar than we are different. I even remember we had a Culturama event, and one of my friends from Barbados was like, I will make with fish cakes. And then I was like, fish cakes? I was like, I'm so interested in that. And watching her doing it, I was like, we call this saltfish fritters in Jamaica. The only thing was that theirs is round and ours is flat. But a lot of our foods, we just have different names for them, but we're so much more similar. Bahamas was the place that I learned to cook. I learned a lot of life skills in Bahamas. I learned even about fashion, just by living up there and living with people, and they would tell me, no, this doesn't work with that. And even professional skills, a lot of our courses were in alignment to that. And most importantly, while living in Bahamas, this was the time when I knew that I wanted to transition into education eventually. I had a lecturer by the name of Elizabeth McKay, and after being in her class, I was like, I don't think I want to be a hotel manager anymore. I think I want to work in the industry for some time, and then afterwards, I definitely want to enter the classroom. And so that's really what kind of inspired me to be where I am today. So life after university. So I was working at Breezes Bahamas, which was a phenomenal experience for me. I had some of the most amazing co-workers. I had amazing guests. This was a property that I actually realized that I have a huge love for front office. And I'm just so grateful for everyone that made my time there so special. But when I had to come home, and coming home was a reality check. Like for many persons who are university graduates, when you leave university, you're thinking that I'm going to be where the money resides, I'm going to get a job right away. And that was just not the case for me. I was unemployed. I remember I was sending out resumes prior to completing university. I got no response. I physically went to places, hand out my resume, offered to volunteer, I was offering to work for free, and still no response. And I mean, it's natural to become depressed and to start to feel like you're a bum. And I remember I went on Facebook and I saw a friend of mine that I attended school in Bahamas with, and he was working in DC. So I messaged him and I'm like, tell me how did this come about? So he told me he went through HRC International, which is a placement company that places hospitality professionals in various hotels across the United States. I think they also place persons in hotels in Europe as well. But the main program would be the USA program. And so that same day, I went on their website, I applied, I uploaded my resume and my cover letter, and the following day I got a call. And I was just like, oh my God, they called me. And so it was just a kind of like a get to know you session on the phone. And then they asked me if I would be available to do a Skype interview on the Friday. So I think this was like the Wednesday, and they asked me if I would be available on the Friday. And I was like, yes. So I did the Skype interview, and they asked me like, what state would I be most comfortable working in? And I remember telling them Florida or New York, because that is where majority of my friends and family live. So I just would prefer to know that I am comfortable. And so they ended up placing me in Virginia, which at first I wasn't too thrilled, but it was the most amazing experience that I've ever had. Like that was probably my favorite year yet. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about my time in Virginia. And I was living and working in Arlington, Virginia, which is right outside of DC. DC was literally 1 minute drive from where I was living and working. As a matter of fact, I was working at an airport hotel, and this airport hotel was the airport was Ronald Reagan Airport, which is in Virginia, but another name for it is DCA, which is DC Airport. So you can understand why some persons may even call Arlington a part of DC sometimes. But it was a phenomenal experience. I remember I was even there for the second inauguration of Barack Obama, so the Secret Service was staying in the hotel, and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool, like, oh my gosh. But I had a phenomenal experience there. The staff was amazing. I just love that the staff was so diverse. We had persons from so many countries, even just at the front desk. I was a Jamaican, you had 2 Ethiopians, you had 2 Germans, you had someone from France, you had someone from Russia, you had someone from Pakistan, you had someone from Italy, you had someone from India. And it was just so amazing working with these persons and just learning about their cultures. And we were also respectful of each other. I learned a lot about customer service when I was there. Training was something that was stressed upon, and so we would have training sessions quite often. And overall, it was a phenomenal experience. Like Bahamas, where I was able to live with persons from other countries, I got the opportunity to live with 2 girls from Poland and from Germany, and it was also a learning experience as well. They were able to share their dishes from their countries, and I would not trade that experience for the world. It was beautiful, and I'm so grateful, and I think that everything happened for a reason. There was a reason when I came from Bahamas why I was not employed, so that when I saw that my friend was overseas and I messaged him, that I was able to capitalize on this opportunity and benefit from it. Alright, so now I'm going to talk about my time after Virginia. And so when I came back home, just like when I came back home from Bahamas, I could not get a job. I was applying from when I was overseas, but it just seems as if nothing was working in my favor. I remember there was a particular job that I had applied for, and I was just looking so forward to this particular job. I just felt like the job was made for me. I did the first interview, I killed it. I mean, I slayed, right? And then the second interview, I just blew it. There were around 10 persons in the interview. It was a huge panel, and I just became flustered. I did not answer the questions to the best of my ability, and like I predicted, probably around a week after, I got an email stating that I was not successful. I remember crying about it, and my father just telling me, this is just not for you. And I think that is something that is hard to accept, when something is not for you, even when in your heart you believe that it is. But I just had to take it and move forward. I remembered, I think it was probably a week after, I was looking at the papers and I saw that applications were open for UE for the master's programs, and they were talking about the different programs that they had to offer, and I saw hospitality and tourism management, and I said, you know what, this is the perfect time for me to just go and do my master's. I was unemployed, so go back to school. During that period though, I remember just being significantly depressed. Just really feeling like a bum, just feeling like a failure. I was volunteering at the time at Bustamante Children's Hospital in the Learning Center, and even though I was able to put a smile on someone's face and, you know, to dedicate my time, I just felt like, what am I really doing with myself? Where is my life going? And these were questions that I would ask myself every single day. Once school started though, I felt like I was back to having some sort of purpose, and school was a wonderful experience this time around. I remember just being nervous before starting, just thinking, oh my gosh, I did not have a good experience academically when I was at UE Mona, so how is it going to be for the master's program? But what I loved about the master's program were that the courses were fun. The classes were fun, the classes were small, so it was like probably 6 of us in a class. Sometimes my lecturers knew my name, I was not just an ID number, and so I was so happy and I felt fulfilled during that entire time. In my very first semester at school, I met a young lady. Hi Marsha, because I know you always watch my videos. And And I remember telling her that I was unemployed, and she was telling me, hey, I work at Knoxford Court, we actually need someone. And I applied and I got through. So working at Knoxford Court while doing my master's was rough, like rough. But it was a learning experience. I learned to multitask. I learned the importance of time management. I also had a very good team, a very supportive team. The team felt like family. I was at work more than I was at home. So I was blessed to be able to have lovely team members and lovely guests that I still communicate with to this very day. And it was an amazing experience. So after completing my master's, I was still working in the hotel industry for like a year and a couple months, and then I started to feel a bit stagnant. I felt like I wasn't growing, and I just felt like I needed some change. Like I started to feel like you need to move forward, you need to move on. I feel like I'm that person where once I have mastered something, I need to move on. I don't like staying in one position for a very long time. And so I took the plunge and I actually stepped out of the hospitality industry, and I started to work for a software company called Microbridge Software Associates Limited. And they actually they create and sell various types of software such as payroll, human resources software. They had a Cambio software, and I was in charge of the human resources software. So I started out as an account executive, and then I became a product manager, and it was a good opportunity for me. I really enjoyed doing demos. I loved when I got the opportunity to go somewhere and pitch the product. I also really loved training, and I had a really good manager, Stacy, and I remember she would always have little pep talks with me, and I still have little pep talks with her now. And I really learned a lot while working there. I am so grateful for that opportunity. And funny enough, sometimes like I said to myself, everything really does happen for a reason, because I now teach a course called Hospitality Information System, which is IT based. And even though I wasn't like a programmer where I was coding and all of that, I still learn terminologies that I can now talk about in my class and sound like a proper professional. Listen, this is just how the world is. Like everything happens for a reason. Don't question anything. Everything happens for a reason. Alright, so one day my mom called me and she was like, there's an ad in the paper for our community college. I need a hospitality and tourism lecturer. And when she called me, like the deadline was like 4:30, and she called me like 3:30. So I just had to edit my cover letter and send it off. The following week I got a call for the interview, and then I went to the interview. It went well, and then I had a second interview with the principal, and I got the job, which is where I currently am, at Portmore Community College. Prior to start working there though, I remember while working at the software company, my friend Marsha, the same one who hooked me up at Knoxford Court Hotel, she is working at a community college right now. She works at XSED, and she would invite me to her classes to ask me to serve as a guest lecturer. And I remember just being there and I was like, listen, I eat this. Teaching is my calling. It is my calling. And so I really do believe it is my calling. I've never felt this fulfilled in any job. I think that there is a special feeling. There's a special feeling when I make a guest have a wonderful stay, but I think it is a much deeper feeling when I feel like I can impact a student's life. A student that I don't think I would have ever met in a hotel setting, or I wouldn't be able to have some conversations that I have with my students, with a guest. I am able to be more understanding. I have students from all types of backgrounds, and I'm just amazed sometimes by their stories. And my students inspire me and they motivate me. I am motivated every day to ensure that I give the best of myself and that I make my classes engaging and make them fun. It is a bit challenging now that we're going through a pandemic, but I still try and find ways in order to, you know, make the classes fun, use a lot of games and a lot of activities to have everyone engaged. And so yes, I am very happy where I am right now. My journey has been long. It has had, you know, some valleys, but that's natural. I really believe that that is natural, and I'm hoping that if you feel like you're going through a valley right now, that you know that you soon reach a mountain, right? You soon reach that mountain peak, or you soon reach that place that you feel like this is where I should be, or this is my breakthrough, and I feel fulfilled and I feel happy. And one thing I've realized though is that your why will change. So you may be happy now, and then after a while you feel like I've mastered this and it's time to move on, and that's okay. But I'm so content and fulfilled where I am today. So why am I on YouTube, or what led me to create a YouTube channel? So as mentioned before, I am currently a student. I am completing my postgrad diploma in education, and I remember we had an assignment, and my small group, we did an assignment focused on customer service. And so one of my group members was like, Candice, you should do a video. And then she was like, to make it funny, you should be like, welcome back to my channel, and you know, the class will probably find it a little funny and stuff. And so after we did that assignment, I was like, I should actually do this for real, because in my classes I do use a lot of videos because my students are visual learners. So after teaching a concept, I would share a video and we will have a discussion afterwards. However, there are moments when I cannot find a video to support whatever it is that I have just taught. And so I said, you know what, this would be a lovely way for my students to learn. If it is a case where they have missed class, they can also look on the video while reading their notes. And funny enough, I actually even got a message from a student at University of Grenada. Hi Chrissy, she says she watched my videos all the time. And I think it's just beautiful when you are able to help a student who is studying for a particular test, or who is just seeking clarity on a particular concept. I am someone who, when I was in school, or even now, I go on YouTube to try and get clarification on a particular topic. I use YouTube especially for mathematically based courses, accounts, etc., because that is my weak area. And so I want to know that I'm able to enhance the learning experience for a student. What I will say though is that YouTube is time consuming. Like, oh my gosh, it takes a lot of time, and I don't have the necessary resources in terms of sometimes the lighting. I have just procured a ring light and a tripod. So I hope to make more videos in the future, and once school is finished, I'm sure that I'll be making far more videos. I promised myself that I would try to be a little bit more consistent this year, but that is my main reason for doing YouTube, to help students who are studying, that they can just find additional content to help them to memorize concepts better. Okay guys, so that's it for this video. I'm hoping that you enjoyed hearing about my career journey. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.